I'm Lee Bagan, and this is Allison. Allison, why don't you tell them something about yourself?
My name's Allison Smith, and I played Annie on Broadway for just about 3 years. And currently, I'm 17 years old and playing Jenny on Kate and Alley.
Mm-hmm.
Played Jane Curtin's daughter. And Lee's going to make me up now.
Yes, I'm going to make her up just as beautiful as she is. Something about the straight makeup is that when I do the straight makeup on a person, nobody really can copy it. You can't copy it because it's designed specifically for that face. So what I'm going to do on her face is just will give you an idea how one approaches a face and what uses. Even the colors. I'm not going to tell you what colors I'm using because the colors I'm using, again, is for her face. But the rule of thumb is that for television or film, you choose the color that's closest to the person's skin tone. You'll be always safe. For theater is another story. You have to choose your colors according to the character. That is, you have to study the character, see who the character is, the character's background, then you choose your colors according to the character's background. You apply it. Here we are going to start with a clean face. You take your color, whatever it is, and the sponge, and you apply it to the face as thin as possible. And if you know what you're doing, you can do it as fast as possible. You don't have to pile it on the face. It's not necessary. Just a thin film will do it. As you can see, her neck is much whiter than her face. We cover the neck. Sometimes you have to cover the hands, chest, ears, and everything. There it is. Now, to make sure that I have very thin foundation, I take the other side of my sponge and just actually clean the face. There you are. What's left there is just as much as I need. Now, she has not got bags under her eyes. There is slight discoloration under the eyes. If there is bags under the eyes, that is something that's fatty tissues under the eyes. You cannot cover it with makeup, period. Don't even try it. But if you have discoloration under the eyes, some people use highlight to cover it. If you use highlight, depending on the highlight you use and the foundation you have, you might be able to correct it. In this case, we can. Sometimes the discoloration is a little on the purple side. Then my suggestion is that you add a little red to your foundation and just gently cover under the eyes. You'll get rid of it. Now, after the foundation is on, under the eyes is covered, we look at the face and try to contour the face. Usually most people use the rouge over the cheekbone. It's the wrong place to apply it. Rouge usually should be applied under the cheekbone and just gently bring it up, as I'm doing it right now here. Very gently you go under the cheekbone, and from there you just go up very gently. Don't bring the rouge close to the nose. Don't bring it up to here. What it happens, it closes the face. You usually have to open up the face by keeping the center of the face lighter than the sides. And that's where you should put the rouge, right under the cheekbone. While you have got the rouge on your hand, you can add a little down here, a little up here, and maybe a touch on the tip of the nose. Now, from here we move to the eye makeup. Depending what you want to do, eye makeup is entirely up to you. You don't have to match the eyeballs. You don't have to match the dress or the stockings or anything like that. You choose the color that goes with that face and for that face. In this case, I'm going to choose this color. This is Bob Kelly's Cool Gray. And with the brush, very gently, if you want to use powdered eyeshadows, you have to have a very dry area. That means you have to powder the face first, then you can use powdered eyeshadow in this area. But if you are using cream as I am, you have to keep it oily. Then you get a smooth foundation or eyeshadow there. Now, to settle the whole thing down, you have to powder the face very gently. Don't rub the face, just gently pat it. And if you use enough powder on your powder puff, you don't have to brush it off. Actually, with Bob Kelly's makeup, you can, if you use it correctly, you don't need even powder. A little sheen is just right. It's natural. But if you use it very heavily, you have to powder it down. If there are any excess powder, brush it off, and you are right. Eyebrows. If she needs anything, you correct it. Usually you have to watch out for the tail end of the eyebrows. If they're very light, in front of the camera, they will fade away. So you have to make sure that the tail end of the eyebrows are darker than the center part. And you can use any kind of a pencil that you think is the right pencil to use. I'm not telling you what I'm using. Actually, this is a copy pencil from the newsroom of NBC. That's what I'm using. But you can use any makeup pencil that you have matching the eyebrows. Eyeliner, well, it depends on what you want to do. If you want to, rather depends on the structure of the eyes. If you want to use eyeliner, you can use either pencil, you can use cake, as I'm going to use. I'm using a cake eyeliner instead of a pencil. But you have to be very careful not to use it heavily or too wide or too dark. You have to control all that. Close eyes. Okay, just keep it close to dry. While she has it close, I'll give her a little more rouge. In this case, we give her dry rouge because the face is powdered down. Touch of mascara. Look up. Don't use a heavy liner under the eyes. What I usually do, I just take a pencil, brush rather, and a touch of this powder here, and just smudge it under the eye here. If you use too heavy a liner down here, what it does is it actually closes your eyes. So avoid it as much as you can. The next step would be lipstick, which again, well, You can choose what color you want. Now, basically, that's a straight makeup for a young lady. Now, she has got something under here, as you can see, a little cold sore. I'm just going to cover that with a little foundation. And there it goes. It's not there. Oops. Basically, that's it for a straight makeup for a young lady.